Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. Um, we're here today with your Victini division power rankings. I'm not exactly sure how the other divisions plan on doing their power rankings, but I like to do it just in this little tier maker and putting the teams into their respective tiers I believe that they fit into. And I just want to make it clear that this is a matter of personal opinion. Um, and please do not take an offense to anything that we say that you might disagree with. I cannot, like, the amount of seasons I've played in where my team has been ranked shit and done well is insane. And that's the coach is the most important thing in draft. However, the purpose and what I love about power rankings is it's really nice to get a different perspective, fresh set of eyes. Maybe you missed something in draft. Maybe you just didn't know about something. And yeah, the purpose of this is to just hopefully give a little bit of constructive feedback into each team. And it's always fun to see what other people think about your team. At the end of the day, the most important thing is whether or not you like your team, not what I think about it. But anyway, let's get into our first coach. So the round one pick for the Victini division was Ali Kaukos and the Boomburstberg Carmen. And let's pull up their team here. Sorry guys, I am not tech savvy at all. So I'm doing this the best I can here. But Ali Kaukos drafted round one Ho. Ho is believed to be one of the best Ubers. It did win SPL, I believe it was, that just did their Ubers League. I didn't watch all of it, but I'm pretty sure Ho won it. I don't like Pokemon with 4 times weaknesses in draft. I just think it just because when your opponent can prep for it, I just feel like it makes them so much worse than in ladder or whatever. But I think Ho is really good. You've got that double regenerator with Ho and Hydrapple, and combine that with Wish supporting on Screamtail. This team's going to be hard to break down if you're not hitting those rock moves. And Alikaka's patched up that rock weakness really well with Garchomp Zamazenta. Garchomp is another 4 times weakness in ice, but like when you've got a Zamazenta there that can just eat rock moves, eat ice beams all day, I think Ali Kaukos has done a really good job at patching up his big threats weaknesses. And Zamazenta's a big threat in itself. Hydrapple as well, another 4 times ice weakness. However, you can Terra out of that. Everyone knows how good Terra Hydrapple is. And yeah, the only thing that I can see in this team is I feel like Meloetta is a bit redundant. Screamtail is an infinitely better psychic type, especially on this team where you can wish pass into things like Zamazenta. I just don't think Screamtail is needed. Its speed tier in 90 is also not needed. I think that if you were to swap Meloetta for a ghost type, that would really help this team. I think having that fighting immunity for Zamazenta, you're not weak to fighting. Like you've got Screamtail that can eat it all day, but then also having a spin blocker, because you've got amazing hazard setters. You've got Garchomp, you've got Overquill, you've got Forretress that are all great spike setters. You've got toxic spikes in both Overquill and Tentacruel, and you got rocks with Garchomp, rocks with Screamtail, rocks with Forretress again. Like you've just got an incredible amount of hazards. So I think getting a good ghost type would really benefit this team. But outside of that, I honestly don't see too many flaws. Your speed tiers are great. 128 would generally be amazing. I think having something a little bit faster is better, but obviously there's not much around. I can't really fault at all. The 85 to 44 speed gap I don't think is a big deal. Maybe if you found a ghost type that was between that speed tiers, that would really help. But I think this team's great. You are flying weak with your both your steel types, their secondary typing not resisting flying. Can make like things like Rayquaza Dragon Ascent I can see giving this team a lot of trouble. because Thunderous is not eating those. But every draft is flying weak. I can't fault you too much for that. I don't think you need Fortress, but I do also like the fact that one of your spinners is specially defensive, one of your spinners is physically defensive, and Ho needs to always have a reliable spinner with it. So that's really good. I also love the Ho Zama Zenta because Zama is an amazing knockoff absorber because Ho just doesn't want to get knocked off and get the boots knocked off. So I think this team is really, really good. I think it's really well put together. Slight tweak. Like again, I think Meloetta is redundant, but that's literally all I can floor. So as to where I would rank this team, I'm tossing between low S or high A. I can't fault it too much, but I also don't think it is the best team in the division. So we're going to put it at A for now. I think that is fitting for this team. And yeah, that's enough about the Boom Burst per comment. I believe I'm a big fan of the team, and I'm really excited to see what LA Cowboys does with it. I think it was really, really well constructed. Let's move on. So next up is Taters. And Taters drafted Mewtwo, Roaring Moon, Menifee, Iron Treads, Zamazenta, Hatterene, Crocodile, Staraptor, Muck, and Zapdos. Might be a bit of bias here, but I think Mewtwo Zamazenta was an insanely good pairing. And I did the same thing, however, I went Zamazenta Crowned. So again, I might have a bit of bias here, but I just think it's so strong. And then you've put a good Dark type with it in Roaring Moon. I think that's a really, really strong core. It can be offensive, it can be bulky. I've used Assault Vest, bulky Roaring Moon sets. He's got I think it's like something around like 110 special defense or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. Zama's physically bulky. I really, really like it. This team, however, the drop off from 100 to 50, I think actually is a big deal. When there's a lot of Ubers that sit around that 90 speed tier. Off the top of my head, you've got your Giratinas, your Palkias, just your one Palkia, I guess. Your Zekrom, your Reshiram, all those sit around 90. And they can very, very freely run Adamant Modest Nature against your team because, yeah, the drop from after Zapdos is a bit absurd. How to fix it? I don't know, because honestly, I like the team. I love the Mewtwo Moon Zama core. I think Menifee is also, I think it's a good Terra captain. I don't think it needs Terra. Like Water is obviously one of the best defensive typings in the game, and yeah, you can switch your type to get a better offensive matchup. But I don't think it needs Terra. I've used many before. I think it's great. If you lose your water typing, you kind of become weak to a couple of things. Especially because Crocodile isn't going to be coming all the time. Offensive fire types like Reshiram are going to be pretty tough. Like you'd have Moon, and that's it. Iron Treads is amazing, one of the best spinners. And then yeah, you've got Hatterene for Magic Bounce. So you've got really good removal options here. And one thing I do like about this team is I don't think any of these picks are throwaway picks. I think Croc and Muck are really good. And can come to many games. I think this is a team with 11 Mons. Is it 11 or 10 we drafted? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 Mons. What else have we got written down here? Some of the other Victini mods written down notes, sorry. No spike setters. I don't think it's a huge deal. You've got rocks. You've got a very reliable rock setter. I think these Uber matchups are going to be much more fast-paced than standard draft. So I don't think no spike setter is the biggest deal. And then Tread's been the only removal is also, I don't think, the biggest deal either. It's very reliable, and you've got Magic Bounce. Um, Very weak to edge quake coverage. Sorry, I'm just reading notes of the other guys here as I go. Um, I mean, edge quake's strong into everything, and like you've got Zama that can just come in on Stone Edge, and Earthquakes aren't going to be doing too much. Also, I don't think it's the biggest deal. Um, he got a few boosts on his week one match. I don't know. I actually haven't watched the week one match, so I'm not entirely sure how it says. But yeah, there is another note here that says, I don't know how I feel about Terra Menifee. It's like a wet noodle unboosted, and getting boost on it would be very tricky. Okay, so that's what the other one was talking about. Yeah, I do agree with Tog. I'm not going to say it hits like a wet noodle unboosted. 100 special attack hits fine. Scald is awesome. Like you don't want to take that and risk a burn. But yeah, I do agree with. I don't think Menifee is the best Terra Captain compared to a lot of others that were drafted. I'm not saying the drop Menifee. I think it's an amazing water type. It's also a great pivoter into Mewtwo, and it's probably like one of your best because Treads doesn't always want to be fitting Volt Switch. And then besides that, you don't have the best pivoting. So I'm not saying drop Menifee, but I think maybe if you found like a bulky Terra Captain, something that would be between that 150 speed tier, I think it'd be capitalizing a lot more. But nonetheless, this is a good team. But I don't think it's better than Ali Calco's. So I'm going to put it in B tier, I think. Oh my god, this thing sucks. Get up there. Here we go. Oh, what? How did that happen? Go back. Sorry guys, my laptop is shit. And I'm trying to do too much apparently for it. Oh my god. Get down. Thank you. High B tier for this team, I think. Yeah, not much really else to say. I really hope I don't dribble too long. But I also do want to give you guys as much insight as I can. Feel free to just skip ahead to your teams if you want. I would not blame you. I do the same thing. But yeah, let's move on. Who have we got next in the in here? Red Sox, Alex, and Zethus. Okay. So Red Sox, Alex drafted Giratina, Salamence, Jirachi, Keldeo, Alolan Ninetales, Moltres, Amoonguss, Vikavolt, Porygon, and Alolan Muck. Similarly to Tater's team, this is a team of 10 Mons. If you look next to it, that is a team of 8 Mons. This is a team of 10 Mons, and I think that's really beneficial. I love Giratina. How it compares to other Ubers, I'm not entirely sure. But I think by getting that Terra Salamence, that secondary dragon type that can Terra out of it, that is offensive, was a really, really good pick for Alex. Terra Salamence is probably one of the best Terra Captains available. I think it's amazing. You can run Moxie, Intimidate, do multiple things, and I think just having that that slightly faster, that more offensive, more threatening dragon type to go with your bulky Giratina was a really good pick. Because this format is kind of dominated by dragons. So you want to be able to fight back, you want to be able to pressure them back, and Giratina being slower than most, and also not wanting to be speedy. Like your Rayquazas are going to happily run max speed Jolly, whereas Giratina wants to be bulky. I think that was a really good pairing. And then you got Jirachi. I love Jirachi. However, I don't like your Steel type and your Dragon type being weak to Dark. Dark and Ghost. I love Jirachi, but with Giratina, I don't think it's the best pairing. You get rocks, you get your wish recovery, your wish into your Giratina is awesome. But if you look at this team, Dark and Ghost looks really good because your last two picks are your checks to those typings. And I'm not sleeping on either of those guys. I think P2 is amazing. I've used it myself. I think Alola Muck is also really, really good. However, I can see this team getting overwhelmed by something like a Lunala or something. If you look next, something like a Fluttermane can be really, really threatening. As for the rest of the team, I'm not the biggest fan of Keldeo. I used it one time, and granted it was in a monotype format, so how it does in standard draft, I'm not sure. I've never really seen Keldeo do all that much, and its speed tier doesn't help this team. And looking at it now, this team it struggles speed wise. You have got Vikavolt for webs, so I can see why you have that there. But like I wouldn't go as far to say this is a Trick Room team. Like you've got a Mungus Porygon that you do see on Trick Room teams, but then your biggest threat on this team, Salamence, isn't helped by that at all. I do like the Alolan Ninetales Salamence. I think if you can get Veil up, Salamence can just win games. But this team needs some adjustments, in my opinion. I think a better Steel type, and then just some more offensive threats. Like when you've drafted Giratina as your Uber, I think you need to stay away from that sort of bulky offense, whatever you want to call it, style, and go offensive. And you did that with Salamence, but I think you needed to keep going and you needed to get something around that 120 speed tier, just to really help support Giratina. What have the other lads written about this team? No spikes or T-spikes. Again, as I said earlier, I really don't think it's the biggest deal. Like spikes are awesome. Maybe on a team that is led by Giratina, spikes would be better. Actually, spikes would certainly be better because what Giratina does amazing is it eats hits, Dragon Towers, Fate, just disrupts. So spikes actually, I think on this team would really, really help. And then your only rock setter being Jirachi, which I just don't think is the greatest fit to this team. Isn't great. Yeah, I think this team is an exception where hazards would actually really, really benefit it more than others per se. No ground type. No ground type is really rough in draft. Because you don't want electric types to just be able to freely specs or scarf volt switch around. It's probably specs more specifically with electric types, just because getting that damage off, getting that momentum it's so difficult to work around if you don't have a ground type. So yeah, a ground type I think is one that is needed in draft. It's also like the strongest offensive type. It is so hard to switch into. It's because grass types suck in this generation. Grass types are cheeks. What else is written here? Team is very slow. We've covered that. As I sort of mentioned, this team is lacking power. It's only Salamence. It just really needs just something else that can come in and break. Because Salamence is also something that is a little dependent on getting that Dragon Dance off to win, which is awesome. But I'm not really seeing anything here that just comes in and just does a devastating hit. So I think for all those reasons, I am going to have to rank. What is Alex's team? The Fighting Land OTs. Oh, it feels rough to put in D tier. But I also think there's a large gap between Tatus's and Alex's. So I'm going to have to put you in D. I'm so sorry. Don't hurt me. It is just my personal opinion. I love more than nothing else than being proven wrong. But unfortunately, I just think this team needs some work. Like, especially when you've got the Aurora Veil and just not having any offensive guys behind besides Salamence to utilize that. I don't think the team fits all that well together. I think keep if you move on from Giratina Salamence and really start trying to pile on a bit more offense, and then yeah, get some spikes, get some more hazards, it would really benefit this team. But let's move on. Let's carry on. Next up, we have Zethus. And Zethus, my friend, the fact that you got Groudon, Wake, Flutter, Gouging Fire is insane. It is insane. And then you paired it off with Sizor, which I actually think, ironically, is good on Sun teams. Because it's a Steel type that doesn't care about the Sun boost. Like, you're dropping to an Ember anyway. It doesn't matter. I've seen Sizor on Sun teams, and I'm a fan of it. Having that Bullet Punch prod is really nice. Rotom Heat is really good on this team. I think the Rotoms are some of the best Groudon checks, being immune to ground and being able to take eruptions like Rotom Wash and Rotom Heat. And then you've got the Lilligant, which is again another great Sun Sweeper. However, as I said earlier, this team has 8 Pokemon. Glimmet and Masquerain are garbage. I also don't know if you've noticed this, but Glimmet does not get Mortal Spin. And I only know that because I have drafted Glimmet as like a 1-point throwaway, thinking it got Mortal Spin, but it does not. So again, not sure if you've realised that, but that brings back the topic of removal in this team's rough. You've got Defog on Sizor, and I think that's it. I can't see anything off the top of my head. It'll probably tell me down here. I don't think anything else gets... Okay, so Lil against Defog too, but again, that's not something that wants to be clicking Defog. Like, you've got 2 offensive Pokemon that are only removal, and I think that is one of the bigger weaknesses on this team. But at the same time, you're going to be dead within 5 turns on this team. Like, you can safely bring Groudon, Wake, Flutter, Gouging Fire every game, and then your last 2 picks can be malleable per matchup. Like, I think... Sorry, I just burped. This team's insanely strong, but it's also incredibly top-heavy. But it's at the point where it's like, even so, like, if you know that Groudon, Wake, Flutter, Gouging are all coming, how do you beat it? And I think for that reason only, this is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, team offensively. However, in terms of just general all-rounded team, I don't think it's the best. Again, just Glimmet, Masquerain are 2 throwaways. Masquerain, you can sash webs, but then you're a Mon down, and like, yeah, I don't know. This team's really hard to rank, because you look at those top 3, you look at Gouging, you look at Lilligant on this team, and you just don't think, how do I beat this? Let's see what else the other lads have wrote. This team is probably the best team in Victini. I'm not going to argue against that. Umbreon is really good wish support and a good pivot into your threats. That is another thing that is really good in this team. The pivoting is really good. Sizor is one of the best U-turners. Rotom's a great Volt Switcher. And Umbreon to Wish Baton Pass to get Groudon, get Wake, get Flutter in is really good. They wrote, has so much offense where it can use Groudon for hazard stacking. I disagree. I think if you're, like, maybe if you've got a free spike once, do it. Like, if you know something's going to come in, you're not doing much damage yet, do it. But just clicking Precipice Blades or Eruption, I'm not a fan of using your Uber as a Hazardmon or a Defog. I like Giratina, I think is awesome. But people that have drafted Giratina and haven't backed it up with more removal, I don't agree with it personally. Having a click Defog on your Uber, not the best. Anyway, we're talking about Groudon here. Yeah, everyone seems to really love this team, and I can see why. It's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying, and I'm really glad I don't have to play it. I think if you look at it from just the top 8 mons, it's got to be S tier. Like you can't fault it. But yeah, this team is 8 mons, and it's 8 mons with poor removal. However, yeah, these games are going to be quick, to the point where I don't think it's going to be the biggest deal in the world. Gouging is going to run boots 90% of the time anyway. Um, yeah, I think we have to put this team S tier. Um, where's Zethus? It's just like I can't believe he got gouging, flutter, and terror wake. Flutter went round one in a lot of different divisions, and he got it round three. I know personally, if I'm seeing Groudon wake, I'm grabbing flutter just so he can't use it because it's insane. But yeah, this team is going to be really, really, really strong. Even though it is 8 mons and you know what's coming. What can you do? But let's move on. The next teams we have here are Green Purple Boy and Arson. I believe it is Green Purple Boy's first season here. Sorry, correct me if I'm mistaken. But if it is, welcome. I believe we have had all returning coaches up until this point. We have, and if you are a returning coach, I apologise. But let's get into it. Lunala. Ooh, I think Lunala's a fraud. Um, it was one of the, I think it was in the second most expensive tier, or whatever you want to call it. I think it's a fraud. I think being 4 times weak to Ghost and Knockoff sucks. And like every Pokemon gets Dark and Ghost coverage. Like, let's just go through this team right here. Zacian gets Crunch. Gothitelle probably gets Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse. I believe Quack gets Knock. Torn, I also believe Torn gets Dark Pulse. Let's check here. Tornadus. That's the wrong Tornadus, but you should have the same moves. That Tornadus gets Dark Pulse. Tornadus Terrian. It gets Dark Pulse. Shocks doesn't get anything. Shaman. What does Shaman get? I actually don't think Shaman does either. But like, look, going through this, that's 2. Especially obviously gets Shadow coverage. You get Knockoff. You're a Dark type. Registeel, I'm sure it gets something. Maybe not. Registeel's move pool's not great. Shadow Claw. It gets Shadow Claw. It gets Fling. You know what? I bet Sandy Shocks gets Fling. Let's have a look. It does not. Does Sandy Shocks get anything? I love Sandy Shocks, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It does not. But look at that. In this team of 10, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Pokemon with Dark Ghost coverage. And that's just the Dark and Ghost coverage. Like, everything has it. Which is why I think Lunala's a fraud. And it's too slow. 97 for something like that. It's too slow. Zacian, Spectrier, Tornadus, they're all like Shadow Shield's not saving you. And these are all my personal opinions on Lunala, but I think it should not. And I did mention these to all the lads when we were tiering. I didn't think it should be priced as high as it should, but people seem to think Lunala's amazing. I also do want to note that I've got no knowledge of Ubers. I've never played Uber's Draft League. I've never really cared for Uber's ladder. So I could be really, really wrong, but I don't think Lunala's good in draft. Shadow Shield is not saving you. You're locked into boots. And if we look at this team, where's the removal? Am I wrong, or does nothing have removal? Let's go down here. I keep forgetting that I can use this. I don't use prep sheets. Hitmonlee. You got Spin on Hitmonlee. That doesn't count. You've got Lunala that's locked into boots. You've got Chi-Yu that doesn't want to be locked into boots, but if it comes in before it tears, it's going to be taken 25% to rocks. Yeah, like, I think there's a lot of standalone really good Pokemon on this team. Wallspin's great. Ursula's great. Meowscarada is amazing. But then you've got Pelipper on this team for for what particular reason. I understand you've got an Ogerpon, but I don't think Rain, like especially when you've got Chi Yu as your Terra captain. You also do have an Archaludon, but it's just I'm sorry, it just looks like a bit of a mess to me. You've got Rain, and then you've got Terra Chi Yu on the same team, and you've got Hitmonlee as your only form of removal, with Lunala, which I think Lunala really needed good removal. Um, and yeah, you've also got Zorak, a second ghost type. I think a normal type would have been really beneficial that doesn't also share the dark weakness. Um, let's talk speed tiers. Your speed tiers are good. 123, 110, 100 is good. And then everything below that is pretty good. But yeah, Zorok I don't think fits on this team. You don't need something else at 110. You don't want a secondary ghost type at all. Um, I don't think the two dark types is an issue at all. I love Meowscarada. You do have a lot of hazards. You've got Ogerpon, Meowscarada, Ursaluna for rocks, Archaludon for rocks, Carbink I think gets like spikes and rocks. But yeah, just my biggest pointers on this team. I don't think Lunala's supported well. With Hitmonlee being your only removal, and you have a second ghost type. You don't have a bulky dark. Lunala really appreciates a bulky dark type. Ursaluna is also a secondary normal type, so I really don't understand what Zorok's on this team for. But yeah, bulky dark. I don't know if it was drafted, but I think if you picked up Mandibuzz, it goes really, really well on this team. You've got that removal for Lunala, you've got that bulky dark type for Lunala. But yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to pick. You lose your speed tiers if you drop Meowscarada. I think Chi is an amazing Terra captain. But if you want to keep the Rain, I think you got to get rid of Chi Yu and do something else. Unless you're planning on just like Terra Water, Terra Blasting, but then you've got 3 water types potentially. Yeah, sorry, I feel like I've been very harsh on this team. Putting my bias to Lunala aside, because I don't even know what Ubers are left on the board. Even if Lunala was a good mon, I don't think it was supported well, at least well enough. So that is why, unfortunately, for this team, let me just pull up your logo. I forgot which one it is. Sorry. The Music City Meloettes. Oh, is it worse than Red Sox's? Possibly. I feel so harsh doing it. I hate doing power rankings. I think it's got to go there. I think it's got to. And I really am trying to put my bias towards Lunala aside. I just think this team is a bit messy. I don't think it supports your Uber well. And like I think that's what you really had to focus on for every team was supporting your Uber, because at the end of the day, your Uber is your Uber. Like it's the head to every team. And when you can only get one big one, I think just focusing on supporting that mon is really important, and this team just doesn't feel like it did it. And yeah, that's all. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. But let's move on. Actually, did I even look at what the lads wrote for this team? Green, purple. Alright. Solid speed tiers, yes, I agreed. They wrote small rain team with Ogerpon, Pelipper, and Archaludon. Yes, it is a small rain team, but it just doesn't fit the rest of your team at all. Specifically that I just whisper. Anyway, specifically that Terra Chi Yu, because Terra Chi is a huge threat. Hitmon Laser Spinner, yeah. It's pretty much all the same things I said, so let's move on. Move on to Arson. This team looks really good, just from first glance. Let's see what the lads wrote. His 2 fastest mons are very hard hitting and can 100% do a lot. Yes, he has Pokemon that I think are needed in this format that can just come in and hit hard right away. Zacian was easily the best available on the board. You can argue Groudon, but the thing with Groudon is it makes teams predictable, or you're just not utilising his Sun. I wanted Zacian. I knew Zacian would go top 2 picks in every league, every division. I keep saying league. And I think it did. Zacian is a huge threat. And then you grab Terra Gothitelle with it, which I actually really like. If you're able to trap those poison types that want to come in on Zacian, you're able to trap fire types, and you can go Terra Ground. Terra Ground on Gothitelle is a really good set. I do really love the Gothitelle with Zacian. I think you can use it to eliminate Zacian's checks early, and that thing just goes crazy. You throw a choice band, and not much is switching into that. Zacian's biggest issue is fire types, because it doesn't get coverage for it, because it's got Psychic Fangs for poison types, and it's got Sacred Sword for fighting. Steel types. And then he got oh my god, I can't talk. I've been talking for too long. He grabbed Quackable, which is amazing. Do I think a bulky water would have been better on this team? Yes. I think a bulky water with flip turn would have been better for Zacian, but you can prep for Zacian and all of a sudden you're going to have Quackable snowballing. I do think it's an amazing pick on the team. Quack's a big threat. You've got Sandy Shocks, which is my all-time draft GOAT. Sandy Shocks is awesome. And this team is 10 Mons. It is not a team with 8 Mons. It is a team with 10 Mons that can all come at any week. Shaman is a really good low-value Pokemon. You've got that Healing Wish support into Zacian, which is massive for this team. Because Zacian's bulky, he can bring it in early, kill 1 or 2 guys, get low, all of a sudden Shaman Healing Wish back up. Really good. I'm not seeing any flaws to this team. Removal is decent, not great. You've got Quackable as your spinner and Conk as your defogger. Conk has something like 140 base attack, so clicking defog on that guy feels wrong to me. And same with Quack. I guess spin you can get the speed boost, which is useful, but I feel like just SD Aqua Step is always better. But I can't fault it too much. It's there. The removal's there, and your team's actually not really that hazard weak. Spike's obviously gonna whittle this team down a lot. But it's really just Tornadus and Incin. They're gonna be running Boots a lot anyway. I think Tornadus is an amazing pivot into Zacian. So is Shocks. And then Shaman with that baton pass. I love this team. I think this is actually my favourite team so far. Whereas Zethus has all those massive strong threats, this team is a team where it's 10 Mons. It can come any time in the week. It's much harder to prep for, and there's those threats there. There's that Zacian, there's Quackable that can win a game at any given point. I love it. Let's see what the guys wrote. They say Gothitelle Terra is a bit of a weird choice. I disagree. I think, Gothitelle is going to force a lot of shed shells, which just is not an item you want to be bringing. It doesn't help you against Zacian or Quack or his big threats. It can take lefties away or black sludge away from their bulky poison type because they don't want to get trapped, and then all of a sudden maybe you can't even take 2 hits from a choice banded Zacian after a +1 attack. I disagree. I think Gothitelle's really good here. But then they said the same things as me. 2 removal options with Quack and Conk. It's decent. It's not great. It's not terrible. Only hazards on Register and Sandy Shocks I don't think is a big deal. Sandy Shocks is amazing. Set spikes up well, can set screens up well for Zacian. Register is a very reliable rocker. I love this team. I don't really have much else to say. You've got Instant Parting Shot and Your parting shot and it can Swords Dance. Game's gone. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, and the only things that are fast off the top of my head are things like your Dio and your Reggie that just suck. Um, yeah, I love this team. I can't. I didn't look at all the teams before recording this because I just like to jump into things and wing it. So apologies if that is obvious. But so far, this is my favourite team. And green, purple, no, arson. Sorry. Your logo is the Hyderabad Honch Crows. This is an S team. Um, Whether it is stronger or better or worse than Zethus is honestly really hard to tell. Um, Offensively, I'm going to do it. I reckon it's the top team. Just because it's got those threats that Zethus has as well, but it does it better in a way where it's not as predictable. It's not letting me move it. Here we go. I think it's the best team so far. Let's carry on. Who do we have next? Oh, there's still so many to do. I've dribbled for way too long. Oh my god. But that's alright. Next up, Supreme Omega. Again, I love this team. I love teams that have sort of different dynamics to it. You've got your terrain, and then you've got your trick room, and they both work together. It's not like you rain with a Terrachiyu. It doesn't necessarily. I don't have the words to say what I'm thinking right now, but I think both can be used. You can have Trick Room Cali, and you can keep Sneasler Rillaboom in the back. It just works. I like it. Glash, is it? It's Calyrex. Yeah, Calyrex is probably like one of the biggest threats available. And then you also got Terra Dragonite. I would like to make it clear, I opted to ban Terra Dragonite. It did not get banned. He got Cali and Terra Dragonite. That's insane. Insanely strong. He's got Cali that can just come in, eat a hit, kill something. He's got Dragonite that can come in, set up fairly with multi-scale, win the game. Sneasler Rillaboom in the back, Reshiram. He's got everything. The only thing that doesn't make sense on this team is Politoed. I don't understand what Politoed's here for at all. And if it's your bulky water, there's got to be something better available. Surely something like a Lantern's available. Lantern gives you that electric type you're missing. Gives you pivoting into your Dragonite, into your Calyrex, into your Reshiram, into your threats. But apart from that, this team's really good. Obviously, the speed tiers are garbage. You've got Sneasler, and then it drops from there. You're hitting an important one in 90. But it's a Calyrex team. Like, Calyrex teams are never fast. The fact that he's even got a speedy option on a Calyrex team, you don't normally see. And I really like that. I think it's really good. What can we... Did the lads write anything on this one? Only Donphinus Hazard removal. I don't think it's too much of an issue. Hazard removal was tough, especially in this format where stuff that is normally drafted as removal can't cut it. I think Donphan's fine. What else? No spikes. I think spikes on this team would be beneficial. It would really help Cali just get those KOs and not have to take too many hits back, because that's what Cali does. It kind of eats a couple hits, kills a couple things. If you can try to get things in range of Cali easier without having to take more hits, it's very beneficial for Cali. But no spikes is not a big deal. I've said it earlier, I don't think having missing spikes in this format is as big as a deal when you've got things that are just killing shit so quickly, like Calyrex and Dragonite. And then yeah, he's got Reshiram to hit incredibly hard on the special side. His top 3 mons are all physically offensive mons, Rillaboom too. So Reshiram is kind of carrying on the physical side. I can see Iron Defense sets giving this team a bit of trouble. but nothing, no major flaws I'm seeing. Um, I really like it. I think it's a really good team. I don't think it's better than the previous Arsen's team, I believe it was. Let's see what other information we have here. Um, Flying week and ice week is fine. Every team is flying an ice week, pretty much. Uh, Rock week doesn't really make a big deal. Like, yes, Stealth Rocks might give this team trouble, but Kelly and Dragonite are running boots almost all the time. Not bringing boots on Dragonite can cost you a free Dragon Dance. So I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. Donphan's decent. I can't notice any flaws. I really like it. I feel like I haven't given you much to go off. So anything down here we can sort of use. So yeah, your hazard game is lacking. Pivoting is actually a bit tough. I think I think more pivots into Calyrex would be really nice. As mentioned earlier, I think something, I don't know if it's available, but I think swapping Politoed for something like a Lantern, or any just bulky water with Flip Turn, would make this team much better. And I think Politoed is the sole reason that this team isn't a top team. Because I don't know, but I think Politoed costs a good amount of points, like around 5 or whatever, but that can be used for something decent. So let's put this team, Supreme Omega's team, into a tier list, and Supreme Omega is sporting the New York Hydreigons. I think it's A. I do think it is below the Boomburst Berg Carmen. Oh man, it's got Calyrex Dragonite though. Like, that's just so threatening. Let's look at Alicalcros' team again. I think it's. I'm torn on this one. I think Calyrex Dragonite is just nuts. I'm gonna lock. Oh my god, I'm sick of this. No, I'm gonna lock that in. I think that fits. And let's move on to the next. And next up we have Lack of Interest, who is sporting the Ottawa Ordinaries. All right, I don't understand what we were going for here with round one Glow-King, and then not grabbing one of the Curums. Weavile's great, but it is not something that the defense boost is honestly going to make a huge difference on. And I think Weavile is amazing, especially in this format. I just think if you carried on with something else that could benefit from the snow, would make this team a lot better. Because apart from Weavile, there's nothing. There's no slash rushes, no big threats like the Curums. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, and I just don't feel like you've utilized the tools that this team has that efficiently. I think Terapagos is the best spinner in the format. I think Skeleturge is also an awesome Terra Captain. I wanted it myself. Having that unaware and being able to change types to sort of block one of these Ubers that might potentially sweep you is awesome. Clef is a good fairy. Shaman Sky. I think Shaman Sky on paper looks amazing, but I've drafted it myself, and everyone just brings Covert Cloak. You don't get your flinches, you don't get your drops, and it's just not that great. Grass Flying is not a great typing at all, and especially when you have Dialga Origin and Slowking as like two of your main mons on this team, you're incredibly ground weak. Looking at that Donphan, what do you do against Donphan? Because it can just Earthquake very freely, and then Ice Shard your Shaman. I think if you're going to go Shaman Sky, you need to pick up either a secondary flying type or a Levitator or something. Like obviously you can Terra Dirge, but you're not going to want to Terra Dirge to handle a Don fan when there's a Calyrex and a Dragon Knight next to you. So yeah, I think these few things are what really holds this team back. I think if you leaned more to your Snow, maybe grabbed a Slush Rush user that could Terra, grabbed a Kyurem. I think all the Kyurems are taken now. I think Weaver's great. Dark Ice goes crazy in this format. But I don't think you need Snow and Weaver. I don't think it's something that's going to make a huge difference. What else has been said about this team? No hazard removal. What? Who the fuck wrote that? This team has the best hazard removal in the format in Terrapagos. So whoever wrote that is on crack. And no spikes. That is again not true. Golem gets spikes. I think it does. Am I wrong? Let's check this out. I mean, it's not like a Alolan Golem is a real mon anyway. But I'm sure it gets spikes. It does not. Okay, so actually they're wrong. It does not get spikes. Not a big deal. But yeah, I just think what I said earlier, there's the ground weakness on this team. This lack of utilizing your Snow really holds this team back. It kind of just looks to me like a bunch of different things thrown together that aren't working too well. I think Dialga Origin's great. But I think you really need to support Dialga Origin with that massive ground weakness, and it just doesn't feel like this team has done that. I think you keep Dialga, you keep Weavile, you keep Terrapagos, Clef, Dirge, and then I think if you use the points that you spent on Shaman, because its speed tier is basically the same as Weavile anyway, I think if you use those points that you spent on Shaman to try to patch up some weaknesses, it can be a much better team. Looking at it as it is right now, I do think it needs quite a few adjustments. So let's rank it. I'm gonna go C. I don't think it's I don't think it's D. But I think it's cutting it close. If I'm being honest, that's wrong. It's cutting it close. I think I just think what keeps this team above the others is a lot of these guys are really good standalone mons. It's just the team synergy on this one just doesn't feel great to me. But yeah, as I said earlier, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, let's move on. This is going to be a long video, and I apologize. Next up, that's what happens when you have 16 coaches. Like, oh my god, I'm halfway. What a chore. The things we do for you guys. It would be amazing if my fucking computer would load. It would probably save us a bit of time. But we can start here. Next up is Kyle. And Kyle has Iron Boulder, Zarude, Rayquaza, Lilligant, Petrarch, Excadrill, Heracross, Primarina, Galarian Weezing, and Iron Hands. I like this team a lot. I think Rayquaza was one of the best available. Dragon Ascent is just insanely strong. And then you've got one of the best Terra Captains in Zarude. Here we are. They've decided to show up. Rayquaza Zarude's awesome. And then Petrarch is a really good pivot into these guys. However, I think you really should have focused on getting a strong steel type. Rayquaza really needed a strong steel type. It also would have appreciated better hazard removal. Galarian Weezing's really good, but you've got Galarian Weezing and Petrarch now. And then Excadrill, I just don't think is going to cut it as your steel type. I think Zarude is going to be locked into steel pretty often. And then Lilligant and Heracross just kind of feel like throwaways to me. I think you perhaps went too top heavy. I think Petrarch can go. I think you got kind of have to keep Galarian Wheezing because of that defog option. I think Iron Hands is great. Iron Boulder is also really good, gives you that really valuable speed tier. Primarina is awesome. I just think maybe the last three picks in Petrant could be formed a bit better. Um, I don't see any reason to ever bring Lilligant. It's not going to equivalent sweep. You don't need it speed tier. You've got Zarude for your grass type. Um, and I just don't think Escadrille is the best steel type that you could have put on this team. I think, yeah, a better steel type was much more valuable. And then I don't know what Heracross is here for. You've got Iron Hands for your fighting type. Sure, you can put spikes on it, but you're going to get one, maybe two layers up, and then you're down a Mon. And especially when your best removal is Defog, I don't think Heracross fits this team at all. I also don't think the lads wrote got this far. Oh no! Oh, he's almost finished it. Good man. Okay, so let's see what the fellows have written about Kyle's team. Rather weak on the special attacking side. Yes, that is true. Rayquaza obviously has like 150 special attack, but its best sets are Dragon Ascent sets where it wants to capitalize on his physical attack. And then Zarude Hands Boulder. You've got, yeah, I do agree. Especially when I don't think Petron is the best fit to this team. I think Weezing's much. I guess if you wanted a grounded poison, sure, but even neutralizing gas Weezing is going to be really good against a lot of these Ubers. What else have we got? he's wrote, this team has like fucking 6 big weaknesses: fire, ice, flying, psychic, ghost, and fairy, according to the doc. Right, let's look at the doc. Yes, I don't entirely believe in this part of the type chart, because it's taking into account 10 mons, and you're never going to bring 10 mons. Like let's say you remove Lilligant from this team, which I think it's not part of the team anyway, then your ice weakness goes down, your flying weakness goes down, your fire weakness goes down. I don't entirely believe in these type charts. Sure, there are a decent basis to go find out what you're weakest to, and you do have a lot. So it probably is at the point where you do need some adjustments, but I honestly think it's because you have 2 grass types. And forgive me, I need to cough. And Zarude's going to tear out of that and remove a lot of his weaknesses anyway. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. Physical walls will love playing into this team. Yes and no. Rayquaza can be mixed easily. Primarina is going to be a staple to this team, being its bulky fairy and water. I think just having Rayquaza and Primarina is enough special offense, but it does really force Rayquaza to be a more specially offensive mon on this team. So I guess it is a fair point. Team is frail on the special side. That is true. But you have an Iron Hands, which you throw an AoV in Iron Hands and it's eating any special hit out. Pre-Min is really good at that too. Not the biggest deal. Zarude's just, even though it's much more physically bulky, its natural bulk is so good. You combine Terror on that. You can be very specially defensive on that guy as well. Only 1 Spike Setter and 2 Rock Setters. And one's Rayquaza. Yeah, hazards aren't great. Surely Boulder gets rocks. Does Boulder not get rocks? Or is Tog just on crack again? I am Boulder. Does not get rocks. There you go. Yeah, not the best hazards on this team. And yeah, I don't think the best removal either. I think Galarian Weezing is good. But I don't think Drill's... I just think, yeah, a much better Steel type would have really, really benefited this team. He just wrote, Terra's root is strong with jungle healing and ST. Yes, I mean, everybody knows that. Like, Rayquaza's root is really, really strong. Yeah, not much more to say. I think this team needs a better Steel type. and I think that's the biggest adjustment for me to say. Because the red doesn't want to be locked in Terra Steel all the time. It's not bad. Like Terra Steel as a root is definitely not bad. Um, but like, yeah, ice physical attackers like Chen Pao is going to be doing a lot to this team. Um, and yeah, let's move on. So Kyle, I think your team. Hmm. I think low B. I think low B. Um, yeah, let's move on. Next up, Tube. And Tube drafted my guy Kieran White. I love Kieran White. Do I think it's the best Uber available? Far from it. Um, and I think what Kieran White would have really, really loved is webs. I would have loved to have seen webs on this team. I think Kieran White Rabombi would have been nice. Um, just because Kieran's not something that wants to choice scarf all the time. It wants boots for that rock weakness. And what Kyurem is so amazing at is its coverage is insane. Um, Nothing likes Ice Beam, Draco, Earth Power, Freeze Dry. Um, so I think if you can get Kyurem under webs, it's insanely strong. Um, However, I still think this team is really, really good. And again, this is another team that is 10 mons. I don't think Graph is as garbage as people may think. I think that Prankster Encore, it gets T-Wave, right? Or am I? I've never used Graph. Graph II. Does not. But let's look at what Graph does. Prankster Encore, parting shots. Super Fang is going to be nice to break those bulkier. Toxic, 100% accurate Toxic Nikes. I'm losing my ability to speak. I've been doing this too long. Prankster Switcheroo is really good. Graph is really good at just stopping things like setting up and snowballing against you. So I think this team is 10 mons. One of the few. Gren, I think, is actually going to be really good on this team. I think having that battle bond potential to sweep is really nice because your Uber and Kyurem is more going to be, I reckon Kyurem needs to be played as an early game breaker. You could run Dragon Dance Kyurem White. I believe it should get that. It's a Kyurem. Does not get Flame Charge. Dragon Dance. You can easily run Dragon Dance on Kyurem White. Maybe use Scale Shot and then capitalize on your 170 special attack very easily. So I definitely don't think there's no way for Kyurem to sweep. I think Kyurem absolutely can be a sweeper, but I think what Kyurem does best is just breaks early game, and then you've got late game Terra Blaziken that can sweep, or Battle Bond Greninja that can sweep, which I think fits really, really well. You've got the best removal in the division, no doubt, possibly even the best removal in the league. And I have used Corviknight Great Tusk in my PUDL season, and they're just so reliable. One of the best defoggers, one of the best spinners. Really, really, really supports Kyurem well. I just think if you put webs on this team, it's a top team. It's still a contester. You've got Quagsire. Having an unaware Pokemon is really, really useful to stop you from getting swept with Dragon Dance. But you've also got to consider that there's going to be a lot of things dropping Dracos on this team, and nothing really likes it besides Metagross, because Quag Unaware will just let Draco spam be really good. Corviknight's lower special defense will also, and same with Great Tusk. But he drafted a secondary Steel type, which I think really benefits his team. Really, really good. I guess decent actually. Pivoting into Kyurem. In Corviknight Sylveon. Being Steel and Fairy, I think, is really good though, that they can both pivot and get your Kyurem in safely. Miss Maggie is probably the only thing on this team that I don't see too much value in. Its speed tier is very decent to have. and a ghost type that is really good in general. You can catch things like those Linalas with it, and being like, again, I have dogged Linala enough, but something like a Miss Magius can probably beat it. Um, and yeah, I really don't know what else to say about this team. Let's see what the guys wrote in the notes. Um, Two, special attacking mons are few and far between. Um, are you joking? Um, is this the right team? Is this Tubes? It is. I don't know what he's talking about. You've got Kieran White, like one of the strongest special attacking ones out. You've got Gren, not obviously as strong, but still. And you've got Sylveon. So I don't agree with that. But he said besides Kieran, team special attackers struggle to make a huge mark without some sort of boost. I disagree. Sylveon hits really hard even without special investment. Again, if you do get the Carmine, if you do get the boost, it's even stronger. I disagree with that personally. Um, Aside from Sylveon, the team special bulk is pretty lacking. I did mention that because yeah, Corviknight and Great Task are very defensive mons. And yeah, Quagsire does not want to be like obviously Draco. Like how many special attackers have Draco? But still not the bulkiest. I do agree with that, but you are much better off being weak, specially defensive than physically defensive because of Assault Vest. I think that's fine, and that's really all they said. Um, yeah, I think it's a really good team. I think Kyurem and then having Terra Blaze getting in the back as a snowballer is really strong. I would have liked to see Webb's Kyurem. I think Webb's Kyurem under Webb's can just win games if you're not prepared for it. But nonetheless, this is an A team. I think he's done really well. Um, Not much more to say. I would have liked to see a Snow Setter with Kieran White. I think a Glow King plus Kieran is always really strong. However, obviously that was taken. You couldn't take that. Slowking could have also fit this team. I don't know if Slowking was drafted. I haven't seen it yet. I don't believe. If Slowking's available and you can pick that up, do it. You don't need Quag as your ground type. Let's look. I'm actually curious. Where's the Victini doc? Draft board. Sorry, I'm wasting a bit of time here. I can't see it. That Slowking's free. I think you pick up Slowking and you get rid of. I know you love Quag. I know you do, and having an unaware mon is amazing. But I think Slowking on this team makes Kyurem so much more threatening, and would just really benefit this team. But nonetheless, I still think this is a really good team. I think it's A, but I do think it is behind these two. So I'm going to leave it there as is, and let's move on to the next. Next up, what am I doing? Dalton and Jakion. All right. That's Slowbro. Okay. Dalton. There was a lot of discussion about Lugia, and the fact that Lugia was made a gold tier Uber. I disagree with. I think out of all the golds, it was the worst. But this team's still good. This is another team of 10 mons. Venusaur probably doesn't fit this team all too much. But you can, I guess you could run Sun on this team. Probably mostly grabbed it for a grounded poison. No, he's got Clod. I think probably, yeah, Venusaur's the only thing on this team that doesn't necessarily fit. Maybe Volcanion doesn't need to be here either. It kind of does the same thing as Heatran. And then you've got Slowbro there too. So perhaps Venusaur, Volcanion are the dead weights for this team. Um, Very ground weak. You do have that Heat Train can tear it out of it, but Iraq pretty much being your only resist, and then Lugia obviously is immune. Um, I can see this team struggling with ground types. I think if you swap Venusaur, Volcanion, get another ground resist, it would really benefit this team. Um, this team also needs more fast breakers. Like you have paired breakers with Lugia, but something like Ursaluna is too slow. Like Lugia appreciates something that comes in and hits hard and can keep doing that consistently throughout the game. Um, Ursaluna takes damage, gets a kill, maybe gets another before it goes down. Um, yeah, I just think that's a better fit with Lugia, and like you've got Urshifu there, but Urshifu is just a tad bit too slow. Um, Great breaker, one of the best. I just said breast, one of the best breakers. Um, but I just think yeah, you need something faster than Lugia that can just come in and do some damage. Um, but nonetheless, this team is going to be really annoying to play against. Like you've got Lugia, and you've got Garganac with Salt Curing, and he does have webs. So he does have webs, which helps Urshifu. Probably doesn't help Ursaluna all too much. Let's see what the fellas wrote. Where is it? Dalton Blaze. Yeah, very slow team. Fastest one is Lugia, which must be bulky rather than fast. Pretty much the same thing what I'm saying. Um, 5 electric weak mons. Yes. So what you've got Lugia, Slowbro, Volcanion. So that must be the water Urshifu. I couldn't tell. Okay, so yeah, I was under the impression that was the dark one. 3 water types is not great at all. Um, yeah, the more I look at this team, I think you've got a lot of bonds that are good, but as a team as a whole, I don't think it's that great. And then I also think you got probably the worst Uber. Um, and yeah, I think if you paired Lugia with one of the bronze Ubers, like Reshiram that was maybe available, um, would be a lot better. But yeah, this team I just think in an Ubers format is quite lacking. Um, Missing several important types like Fairy, Dark, Dragon. Yeah, missing a Fairy is tough, especially when you've got 2 Psychic types in Slowbro, Lugia. You really want that Dark resist, and Urshifu's not going to quite cut it, and that's your only Dark resist. So Heatran might be locked in Terra Fairy a lot, and especially in a format where Dragons are just dominating the league. Um, they wrote Terra Heatran isn't bad by any means. It feels like Guard could have wanted it more. I do agree. Um, and that is trying to be unbiased because I am using Terra Garg. But I also think Heatran with Terra is really good. Um, yeah, this team needs work. The more I look at it, 3 water types, 2 Psychic types. Psychic type I think is a really good offensive typing. Defensively it's garbage, and you've got 2 defensive Psychic types. Luckily Lugi's bulky enough where it doesn't matter, and yeah, Slowbo's great, but I just don't think it's needed with Lugia. Yeah, I think if you drop Slowbro, Venusaur, Volcanion, maybe even Garg on this team, and try to focus more fast offense to help support Lugia. Otherwise, you might just really struggle breaking. Um, does he have Toxic Spikes? Does Venusaur get Toxic Spikes? I think it does, but nonetheless, I don't think Venusaur's that great on this team. Um, so this team, Dalton, which is your team logo? The Silicone Silvally. I'm gonna put here. You know what? Perhaps I was too hard on Red Sox because I think Red Sox is much better than these two. So I might even do this. Um, let's do that for now. But yeah, and I just think this team needs a lot of work. What else was there? I want to give you some constructive criticism and not just dog your team, because that's the whole purpose of this. Um, let's look at your removal too. Is there none? Oh boy, I'm not seeing any. Does Lugo get defog? No removal. Yeah. Uh, you need it. Yeah, this team needs to be redone. I can see Lugia doing really well, um, but that's also a mon that wants good removal with it. So you don't have to run boots all the time. This Lugia is locked in the boots. Um, After noticing that, I think I gotta do this. I'm so sorry. Um, you've got three water types, two bulky psychic types. Not enough offense. You need more offense to go with Lugia. Um, and you need removal. You've got no removal. Um, I'm going to leave it at that. Let's move on to the next. Drakion. I love the Deoxys attack in DD duo. It was something I'd considered myself. I honestly think in DD would prefer the Terra here over Hawlucha. Um, Hawlucha as a Terra captain, just it doesn't make much sense to me. Um, there's so many amazing Terra captains available. You could even Terra Superior. Terra Superior is a huge threat, but without Terra, it just doesn't have the coverage that it needs. Um, what else has been written on it? No rock or dragon resist on the entire team. Yeah, being weak to dragon is not something you want. And Hawlucha is not something that you can throw a Terra Fairy on and take hits, because you're just not. Um, nothing, nothing is taking hits from things like Rayquaza, Kyurem White, any of those big dragons are going to dominate this format. And yeah, you have no steel type, no fairy type, and your Terra's not going to cut it. Um, I think your top two picks are amazing. I think Dio in DD is awesome. Um, the rest of the team needs patching. Another thing I'm seeing is Palafin in DD makes no sense. And I think I do remember you saying something about this in draft. And if you're happy with it, you're happy to go for it. I don't even like Palafin in standard draft, and you're putting him with Psychic Terrain. I just can't see him working too well for you at all. I also think that Palafin pairs really poorly on this team. Palafin needs bulk, because you're putting him in baby mode, and then you have to switch. And unless you're faster and no, unless you're slower and you're willing to take the hit on your Palafin, something has got to come in and take that hit. And you just do not have the bulk to support Palafin here, especially when your Uber is Dio attack. It is a paperclip that hits like a truck. Yeah, I really, really don't like Palafin on this team at all. And it's so many points. I don't know what it is. It's like 17 or something. It's so many points. It just feels like a complete throwaway pick on this team. I think this team's got so much potential with Dio in DD. I think you make in DD your Terra captain, and then you get bulk. Then you just support it with bulk, and Dio just goes crazy. I think Troy in the Mew division really utilized Deoxys attack well. He didn't grab in DD, but if you look at his team for reference, he's got Terra Iron Hands that can eat hits for Dio and slow pivot it in. He's got Ting Lu that can eat hits for it, set up hazards to break sashes, because Dio hates sashes. Dio can come in, get a KO, but if it's got a sash and they live, they're killing you back. Dio hates sashes. And you did grab Cleavor, which I think fits really well. It's a really good rock setter. But you just need more bulk, and you need more pivoting, because Dio's not switching in. You need to be able to get Dio in safely. Switch Palafin for something like Aloma Molar, and it's just infinitely better. What else is on this team? Yeah, they've pretty much said the same things as me. Um, I think Dio's Mon is more than other Ubers really needs support. It needs bulk. It needs slow pivots, um, and it needs hazards. I think your hazards are decent with Cleavor, but like Lando is not something that is the most reliable hazard setter, um, and it's really expensive. And yeah, I don't understand Horluch as a tier captain at all. Um, I think Alec is actually a decent spinner in Ubers, because it's faster than everything. It can get off a screen and get off a spin. I think it's decent. Um, and that's another thing. Dio needs good removal because Sash is also really handy on Dio because everything's bringing it down to one. Um, so yeah, I think you started off in the right direction, but it just fell off from there. Palafin should not be on this team, and yeah, it needs more bulk. But yeah, let's go. Dalton, your team is, where are you? The Carolina Incineroars. Oh, let's look at it one more time. Hmm. Let's look at the Music City Mellowatters one more time. It's the same problem as the Music City Mellowatters. You've got good mons that just aren't pairing together at all. Like he's got the Chiyu and Rain, you've got the Palafin in Psychic Terrain. Like it's just not, it doesn't work. So I got to put you down there in the DT, my friend. I apologise. I think these two can be interchangeable, um, but maybe just because he has Lunala, you can go up there. But I still think it's D tier. Um, let's carry on. Poncho Rosso and Mr. Monkey. Poncho, you you have 10 mons. 9. I don't like Cryo. I've drafted Cryo before as a spinner. It sucks. But Smeagol's awesome. And I think Smeagol's especially more awesome in this format where you could make it do anything. It's mostly going to be like Web's Ceaseless Edge, um, maybe like Burning Bulwark. I've seen to catch something like a Rayquaza Dragon Ascent off guard. Um, I really like Smeagol. I think for value it's really good. Um, and then your Uber is Palkia, which I also think is actually a really underrated Uber. I think Water Dragon is insanely good typing. Um, and then you've got another dragon in Raging Bolt with Terra, which I think is fine. I don't think having two dragons is a bad thing at all when one can Terra. Especially when dragons are, as I've said multiple times, going to be dominating the format. To be able to have Stab Draco and lose that dragon typing on a slower mon like Raging Bolt is awesome. And I think everyone knows Raging Bolt is an insanely good Terra captain. Um, I wish this team drafted more hazards. Everyone knows Goldengo is the best spin blocker, best default removal blocker in general in the game. Um, and you just didn't draft enough hazards. You got Stealth Rocks in Crook and Necrozma. Um, and then like there is Smeagol, but it's it's not the most reliable. I know I was just saying how good Smeagol is. I think for a value pick, Smeagol is really good, but I do wish this team had a much more oppressive hazard setter. And it doesn't necessarily mean Goldango's bad without it, but it just feels like a waste of utility with Goldango. Um, Speed tiers are good. You've got 119, 160, 111, 105, 100, which is all really solid. Something faster than Ace would have been nice, but the options are limited. I think Iron Valiant's going to be really strong. Having that fast fairy that can boost the speed to be faster than the faster threats that it needs to be faster than. I just said fast like 12 times. I like this team, but I don't love it. Um, I don't think Torn's that great. I don't think Cryo's that great. Um, And yeah, you're a bit ground weak. If Bolt hasn't terrored, you're becoming quite ground weak because Cryo sucks. Cryo's not coming, and Torn is not very. He's not going to be taking those. Like he can be immune to ground, but he's not going to take. If they know Torn's coming in, he's not going to take hits all too well. Um, let's see what the fellas wrote about this one. No grounded poison. That's true. Um, but I don't think that's necessarily the biggest deal because if you bring toxic spikes on this team, Ace can just switch it, and then you've used a turn or two to put them up just for them to be put on your side. Now you've got to remove them. I don't think it's the biggest deal, and if you're really worried about it, you can Terra Poison Bolt. Um, I also know that a lot of the poison types available aren't that great, and I know that because I tried finding one for my team, and I ended up with Muck. Um, I don't think it's the biggest deal on this team. Um, Seems to struggle with longevity, especially on the physical side. Yeah, I agree. This team struggles with bulk. Um, yeah, I think if you swap Tornadus, swap Cryo, um, and try to just focus on a bit more bulk. Other than that, the team's solid. Um, Trying to think of anything else I can say to sort of help. I really do. I like your top three. I like your Fairy Dragon Steel. I like Palkia. I like Crook, and I like Ace, and I love Smeagol as a value pick. Necrozma on this team without Terra doesn't feel the greatest. I think Psychic's an awful defensive typing. Um, I guess it like yeah, you're not really too worried about fighting types. You got Iron Valiant, Goldango. So I think if you swapped Torn, Cryo, and Necrozma and focus a bit more on patching up your defensive weaknesses, this team could be much better. But I definitely don't think it's a bad team. Um, Sorry, I feel like I haven't spoken too much about yours, um, but that's really all I can point out. Um, the removal's weak, but like you've got court change. Like just having Ace is amazing to sort of deter people from wanting to set hazards up, especially when if they set hazards up, you swap them. It's gonna be really hard to get rid of them when you have Goldango. Um, so I think bringing hazards against you could really be detrimental to the opponent. So I don't think it's the biggest deal. And Smeagol can run spin. I think Smeagol's honestly a better spinner than Cryo. Um, I'm not a fan of Cryo. Um, I can understand why you drafted it. You probably wanted the Levitator. Um, but I think even just bringing Cryos, you're worse off. So yeah, I would personally get rid of Tornado's Cryo Necrozma. Really get whatever you can for ground types, and then patch up your defensive weaknesses, and this team would be much better. Um, so for that reason, I also want to say that your logo is awesome. Um, I want to go high C. I reckon. I think you're better than these two. Um, your team is, but I don't think it's quite on Kyle's and Tatus's level. Um, let's carry on. Let's carry on. Next up, Mr. Monkey. Um, this is another ground weak team. Um, you have got Glasgow though, which is one of the best edge quake checks in the game, which is really good. You've got Webs and Annihilate and Dialga Origin, which I think is really nice. Cycler's a good spinner, and I think Cyclers are being able to be faster than those Dragon Ubers and threaten them with Draco is great. And then you've got screens with Iron Moth and Annihilate. I honestly think Iron Moth is better as a Terra Captain than Ape. I don't think Ape needs it all that much. And once Ape's terrored, you've lost your spin blocker for. You've got amazing hazards. Like you've got Samurai Sue, the best spikes are in the game. You've got Glasgow that can hazard spikes Stealth Rocks very easily. Roxon and Polion, and you got Webs on Rabombi. I'm not gonna count Rocks on Dialga because I've said this before. Don't use your Uber as a rocker, especially when you've got this many hazards. Use it as a threat. Um, I think if you swap the Terra from Ape to Moth, this team becomes a lot more threatening. You do lose your grounded poison, but it's not a big deal. Um, you've got really reliable removal in Defog and Polygon. Um, and then another thing, you kind of really want the ghost. I mean, sorry, the fighting immunity with Annihilate. Because Moth isn't going to take the hits all too well. And then you're really relying on Gliscor to be your edge quake switch, your fighting switch. Because if you look at your team, um, you've got two normal types, two steel types, two dark types. You're very fighting weak. Ribombee is 4 times resist, sure, but it's not taking any coverage attacks. Um, but apart from that, I actually do really like this team. Um, what? Sorry, I'm just reading the notes. He wrote only one spike setter on the whole team. No, or am I wrong again? I was wrong last time. Glasgow gets spikes, right? This feels stupid looking this up. Yeah, yeah. No, he's got Samurai Hisui and he's got Glasgow. He's fine. His hazards are probably the best in the division. Um, I just think, yeah. And the thing is with Ape, if you keep Ape as a ghost type, you spin block similar to Goldengo. Uh, you're also a default blocker with Defiant. So I think this team with Ape, Samurai Hisui, Glasgow is really good. I just don't think you need the Terra on Ape. Um, Terra Iron Moth is a threat. That thing with booster speed, if it gets the Fiery Dance boost, can win. Or if you want to be more reliable and run booster special attack agility, it's insanely good, especially when you got Grimstyle screens. I think Grimstyle screens and Dialga Origins also really nice. Um, Arboliver's decent on this team. I understand why he picked it. But it's just another fighting week. I think that's the biggest flaw to this team. You're fighting weak, and your Terra, I would change personally. Um, yeah, I think that's really all to say. Your speed tiers are really good. Um, yeah, I got nothing more. I think this is a really good team. There's a few slight changes I would make. Um, do I think it's better than Taters' team? I don't think so. No. Mr. Monkey, what's your... Did I put your thing in? You're the timekeepers. No. Do I think it's better than Kyle's? I think also no. But I think if you made those slight changes, possibly. But I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. Taters feels like it could move up, but there's just a few slight tweaks that's honestly I'm not gonna actually play around with that. I think I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave it like that. Let's move on. Two left. We're almost done. Um, all right, Joe Mama. I love the Dragapult Magina duo. It was a duo I had in mind when planning my draft. Um, I think it looks really good. Um, I don't know what the fuck Kricketune doing there. This is a 9-1 team. Um, Kricketune, you don't need webs. Like sure, Magina under webs is really good. I understand that, but you've got Pult Darkrai. You don't need webs. Um, Magina can just shift gear. I'd much prefer you put shift gear on Magina than waste a Pokemon slot on Kricketune for webs. Um, but you probably just had one point and pick Kricketune. It's fine. It's not going to make the team any worse. Terra Lando is interesting. I don't think Lando is something that really needs Terra. Um, I think there's a lot of better options you could have had. Um, I don't think Mandibuzz Darkrai is bad. I don't think having two Dark types is bad, especially when you've got Dragapult, which is Ghost and Dark weak. Um, you've got Glamora for looks like you. No, sorry, you got Sorry, my mind's blanking. I've been doing this way too long. Ignore that. Carry on. I was about to say Glamour is your only removal, but you got Mandibuzz, and then I felt like an idiot because I got Mandibuzz on my team as my only removal. Anyway, really good hazards in Glamora. You get everything with Glamora, and then you get very free toxic spikes without having to waste a turn setting them. You can take a hit and they come up. Really good pivoting into beginner as well. Mandibuzz U-turn, Bolt Volt Switch, Miletic Flip Turn, and Lando U-turn. Is really, really good at getting a beginner in and being able to shift gear or just fire off a massive Fleur Cannon is awesome. Being able to get Dragapult Darkrai in is awesome. And then you got Ogerborn Halflame, which is another great threat on its own. And your team needed that more physical offense. Yeah, it's pretty much just Lando Ogerpon, and Pult is good as a physical sleeper, especially with Dragon Nets. However, you lose that reliable ghost coverage. I like this team a lot. I think Dragapult Magina is an awesome combo. And nothing else besides Kricketune really stands out to me as a weak link to this team. I think this is a 9-1 team, and that's better than an 8-1 team. What else can I say? Speed tiers are really good, like Dragapult, Darkrai, Ogerpon into Lando. Lando's 91 speed tier is awesome. You're 1 point faster than all those 90s. And then you field, like, the speed tiers are great. Hazards are good, really good. You've got Magina and Glamora, Ogerpon all for spikes, Lando for rocks, Glim for rocks. I really like this team. Type chart looks good. Nothing else really here. I think it's going to give me too much information. Yeah, hazards are great. Removal is really good. It's got default like a mortal spin, and his pivoting's awesome. Yeah, I like this team. You've got potential to sweep with Dragapult Magina, but you've also got something like Darkrai that just comes in as an immediate threat. Really well put together. I like it a lot. Don't really have anything to say, to be honest. I can see ground types giving you trouble once you've terrored Landorus to actually. It's really just Buzz. I'm not looking at Kricketune. Yeah, that's probably my only fault to this team. I don't like the Landorus Terra Captain. I think Landorus's natural typing is really good. You're not too worried about ice types, and you got a Magina and a Milotic. There's nothing on this team that I think I would prefer Terra on. Maybe Glamora. And I'm not saying to drop Lando. I think Lando's awesome. It just doesn't feel like you've taken advantage of the high tier Terra. As well, like look at the Terra King Gambit on Glitchy Mix's team, and it doesn't feel like you've taken advantage of the high tier Terra as well as other coaches have. However, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, there's nothing else that I'd give it to besides maybe Glamora, and then even then that would still not feel great. So I'm not gonna drag your team down too much for it. So yeah, let's move on to the ranking. I think this is a really good team. Let's look at Tubes again and sort of think about where I think it's. I feel like it's A tier. I just wanted to sort of decide where to put it. Tubes team. I really like Tubes team, but also really like yours. I think that it's a close, close in here somewhere. That's a tough decision, that one. What does it do better than Tubes? Not too much difference, honestly. I'm going to do this only because of Kricketune. Tubes is a 10-man team, yours is a 9-man team. Nonetheless, still a really good team. Last team, we're finally getting down to the end. Glitchy Mix Joe Mama. Um, alright. Giratina Origin, Deoxys Speed, Diglett, Kingambit, Enamorous, Alola, Galvantula, Bastiodon, Blastoise, Low Kicks. I'm stumped on this one because I'm like I'm thinking I love it, and then I'm thinking it's not as I don't know where to start with this one. Let's look at removal. You got Blastoise for spin, and you've got Giratina for defog. As I've mentioned many times, I really don't like using your Uber as a defogger, but I think Blastoise does it well enough. Being your bulky water with spin is fine. You've also got Shell Smash potential there, and then you've got one of the top Terra captains available in Terra Kingambit, which can just win games. You did pick up a secondary Steel type in Bastiodon, but I'm not the biggest fan of Bastiodon without Terra. I definitely think this team would have appreciated a secondary Steel type because you're very fairy weak. Because you've got Giratina, Kingambit, Low Kicks. Nothing really appreciates like a Specs Moonblast from like a Primarina or something, because you're not gonna want to bring Bastion all too much. So that's probably the biggest issue with this team. I think Doug Cherry is a really cool pick. If we allowed it with Arena Trap this season, it could be really fun. Offensively though, this team kind of struggles because you don't have much that can come in early game and be a threat besides maybe Low Kicks, but I also don't think Low Kicks fits this team well. You didn't need the secondary Bug, you didn't need the secondary Dark. It's just another fairy weakness for no reason. Really your only like instant threat or wall breaker per se is Enam, which is great. I think Enam's going to be awesome. 106 is faster than most of the dragons in the format. I think Dio's speed. I don't think it's great in draft. I'm not a fan of mons that just come in, set up a spike and die. Like it's just too frail. But I can see the speed being really valuable. I can see you doing well. I've seen Dio do well. I just think this team needs more power. You've drafted a Giratina, which is one of the bulkier Ubers. The Origin form's definitely stronger than the other form. But the thing is with King Gambit wants to be waiting till late game to get those Supreme Overlord boosts. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest flaw to this team is I think it just needs a bit more instant breaking power. Because it's really just Giratina Enamorous, which are great, like two great mons. But yeah, I love Aloe. I did tell someone else to pick Aloe up. I didn't realize it was drafted. I love Aloe, but I think Blastoise is just more valuable on this team for spin. So I think if you drop Aloe, drop Bastiodon, drop Low Kicks, and really try to just get something more powerful, even Diglett can go. Like, it's too many points, and it just doesn't hit hard enough. I think if you use those points to try to get a big threat, preferably a physical attacker, I reckon this team needs is a strong physical attacker besides King Gambit. This team would be much, much better. Let's look at the notes. Looks like they didn't get this far, or do I just have to refresh? Sorry, give me 1 second. I don't think they got this far, but I will take the wheel. I've got this. I do like webs on this team. I do really like Giratina under webs. But the rest of the team doesn't need it. Doug Trio, Dio doesn't. Yeah, I think Doug Trio just doesn't fit this team. It's cool, and like being able to trap is cool, but yeah, you really need that physically offensive mon that's not King Gambit. And a secondary steel type would also be nice, or even a poison. This team would really benefit from a poison type. Yeah, because toxic spikes honestly aren't even that big of a deal to this team. King Gambit's immune when it first comes in. I don't think toxic spikes are an issue for this team at all because Giratina's got levitate in and flies. Dio doesn't care; it just dies anyway. But yeah, my biggest recommendation to you: pick up another physical threat. your type chart's perfect. So that's really good. That's always a good thing. But I did mention this earlier. I don't believe in this type chart as much as uh, some other people might, because you're only bringing 6 mons. You're not bringing 10. So whatever this type chart is not really what you're gonna have. Like, it's a great indicator of what you're weak to, what your opponents are weak to, what you've done well. Um, but if you were to drop something and you were to start seeing more red here, I don't think it's a bad thing. Um, I think, yeah, getting that one more physical threat is really what this team needs. Um, your hazards are good. Uh, Removal's fine. Like, I don't like using Giratina as defog, but like, if you have to, you have to. It's not a big deal. Healing Wish Enam's awesome. Having that Healing Wish into Gambit, into what's his name, Giratina, is awesome. But my only issue with that right now is Enam's like one of your best like hard hitters off the get go. Hits hard, and if you Healing Wish him up, or Healing Wish Enam goes down, might not be the best for this team. And then, yeah, like, Aloe's a great cleric, but I just think you kind of need Blastoise for that spin option. Um, yeah, that's really it. I do really like the team. I might just be looking at Giratina and thinking that's a sick mon. Look at a King Gambit thinking that's awesome. Um, but yeah, I think that one change would really help this team. Um, I don't see the value in low kicks on this team at all. I don't really see too much value in Aloe. Having two waters is not bad, but I just think you need to lean more offensive on this team. Then again, looking at it though, if we lose Aloe, we lose so much bulk. You've just Yeah, I don't like Dio and Doug Trio on the same team. Um, I don't like Bastiodon without Terra. So yeah, I would drop Doug, Aloe, Bastiodon, low kicks, possibly Dio if you need to. Get that one more physical attacker, and then round out your bulk a bit better. And then I think you got a great team. Um, and yeah, that's all. Where would I rank you? Let's look here. Let's look here. Um, I don't think it's better than Poncho's. Where's lack of interest? I do think it's better. I think it's possibly there. Um, that's gonna conclude our Victini power rankings. This is gonna be a long video. I apologize, but I did want to sort of give um, semi in-depth analysis to each team. I really hope that at least one of you can take something away from this. And again, I said this at the start. This was just for fun. Um, and yeah, please don't take anything too personally. I am far from an expert. Thank you guys, and I hope everyone has an amazing season.